Alright everyone, welcome to Might and Magic 6, The Mandate of Heaven. This is Mithrilla, your local Might and Magic enthusiast. I first played this game when I was 7, when it first came out. My parents both beat it, and after they beat it, they gave me the game and let me beat it. So this has a lot of great memories for me, and I finally got to work on one of my new computers, so I'm very happy and very stoked. So, sit back and relax, enjoy the show, and we'll start this game up from scratch with a brand new party. Having cheated death during the night of the shooting stars, you find yourself as far from your village of Sweetwater as old Falagar's magic could take you. 3 years have passed while Falagar imparted what knowledge he could to train you in your chosen professions. But the time came at last when he could teach you no more, and you have ventured into the world to seek your fame and fortune. Now, a world away from your lost home, you stumbled across evidence of a terrible conspiracy involving a new religious cult. 5 letters from King Roland to his wife Catherine, and a letter from the King of the Devils to a wicked traitor named Solman have turned up in an abandoned goblin camp. Your fate seems inextricably bound to these letters and that awful night, and your role in the events to come may be larger than anyone could imagine. The tools you have are but a small sum of gold, your wits, and a lot of potential. The roads ahead are infinite. The choices are all yours to make. Good luck. Alright, so this is kind of a continuation of the Heroes of Might and Magic series, the very famous turn-based strategy game. The first Heroes game had you as Papa Iron Fist coming and conquering the whole continent of Enroth. The second one is the battle for succession between Roland and Archibald, 2 brothers. Now, since Roland is mentioned here and Archibald is not, we all know who won. Roland was the goody two-shoes, Lancelot-esque guy, and Archibald was the sorcerer, necromancer sort of person. And by this time, Roland has won and united his whole kingdom of Enroth. He married Queen Catherine from the continent across the sea, Arathia, and they have a kind of a brattling young son named Nikolai. But as this particular game starts, Roland is missing, he may be dead, and Queen Catherine is across the sea at her papa's funeral, which is kind of foreshadowing Heroes of Might and Magic 3, which has yet to come out. So, let's start with creating a party here. Okay, the default party here, we have a paladin, an archer, a cleric, and a sorcerer. I'm actually very fond of this party. There is certainly nothing wrong with it. However, I want a little more muscle, just because muscle is very cool. So I'm going to change my paladin to a knight. Now, a knight has no spell points whatsoever. All he does is bash things in with his sword, which is pretty much what we need anyway, so I'm not going to change his portrait or his name. I think Roderick is kind of a cool name. There are a variety of classes. There are only 6 classes you can choose from in this game. There's a knight, which has no spell power and is all beating things in and macho, everything like that. Knight in shining armor sort of person. Got a paladin, who can cast holy spells as well as thwack things with his giant sword. Got a cleric, whose focus is primarily with healing spells, as the name cleric sort of implies. I'm not sure why this is freezing up. Come on, be nice. Sorry about that. The next one is an archer, which we already have one. They specialize in air magic and, of course, in shooting their bow with pinpoint accuracy. I like to also think of them as kind of the rangers of the Lord of the Rings series. That's kind of what I think of them as. There's also sorcerers, and they basically nuke things. They have very, very few hit points. They're very squishy, but they can hold their own when it comes to magic. Druid is kind of a combination of a cleric and a sorcerer. Kind of takes a little bit of each. They can heal and they can nuke, but they can't use what's called the mirrored path, which is light and dark magic, which is probably my favorite kind of magic in the entire game. So, I like the portraits, I like the names. Zoltan seems great for a sorcerer. You know, that's just me. Alright, so let's go distributing the points. So, The most important things for arcane types of magics, that's fire, water, earth, and air, is intellect. So people who specialize in that need a lot of intellect, you know, for reading all the scrolls. So the sorcerer is going to need a lot of intellect, so let's max that out. Those who are in the self kinds of magics, the healing magics, need personality to pump up their spell points. Think of it as kind of bedside manner. So we're going to bump up her personality so that she has a whole bunch of spell points. We're not going to touch the opposing skill for either one of those, just because, you know, it's nice if sorcerer's somewhat amiable, and it's nice if the cleric can actually string two words together. At least that's the way I think of it. The knight can basically be dumb as a rock, because all he really needs to know is where to thwack things. He, of course, needs to be very strong, so we're going to max that out. We're going to make sure that everybody has a speed of at least 12, because a slow character is a very dead character. The archers do have access to arcane magics, so we're going to put some points in here, not a whole lot. Most of her points are actually going to be in we're also going to put, make it so she's 20 in accuracy, and we're going to bump up his accuracy, because obviously his fireballs kind of do need to hit something. As for skills, we're looking at Zoltan, the sorcerer. Some people would disagree, but I think that, you know, if he can't nuke, he can always get more armor later. He might as well start nuking things. Our archer already has air magic, so we're not going to worry about giving him air. So we're just going to give him water and earth. Water is great for transportation. Earth has some fun little toys in it, mostly for protection. And fire magic is just for nuking. That's all it's there for. As for our cleric, we're going to give her spirit magic because of bless. It has a lot of great buffing spells. She already has body, that's for healing. And we're also going to give her, it's kind of a hard decision, we're actually going to give her shield, because she can use a shield the entire game. It's actually kind of useful for her. The reason why we're not giving her mind is just because we don't really need it at this point. There's not really a lot of benefit to giving it to her right now. She can always learn it later. There's not really a lot of great spells until later in the game for her anyway. For our archer, we're going to give her axe because she needs a melee weapon. Otherwise, she's just kind of thwacking things over the head with her bow. We don't want it to break after all. You know, it's just a bendy piece of wood. And the rest of this stuff is just secondary skills that would be nice to have, but we don't need them right away. Instead, I'm going to give her leather just because we don't want her to be incredibly squishy. Okay, for the knight, we're going to give him a bow. Having two bows early on in the party is really going to help. We're going to get, at this point, our cleric's just going to be healing, and our sorcerer's just going to be throwing spells, so it's not quite so much of an issue, but it's nice for him to have a bow. We're also going to give him shield, just because, I mean, we're not really going to train it up, we just need it for the armor class right now. When he gets to master and sword, he can wield one sword in each hand, and basically go around being a big sword master, so it's not really too much of an issue right now. Okay, well, we've created the party, so let's load this up and go into New Sorpical. Alright, so, oops, wrong way. The sign says, "Welcome to New Sorpical." We are in the furthest northeast of the continent. Turning looks good. Okay. Just, you know, use your arrow keys to go around. Use shift to run. There's no auto run in this. Ooh, horseshoes. Horseshoes are actually pretty nice. They're a fun little toy. Pretty much what they do, they don't really say that much. It says, "This flawless horseshoe is made up of silver. To use, pick the horseshoe up and right-click over a character's portrait." What it will do is it'll give you 2 extra skill points, but it's good to save those up, you know, just in case you only need 1 more skill point to level up a particular skill. So, you know, we'll just save those for now. Let's just get these people their gear right now. Just click on and put over the character. He's got basically a crossbow, sword, shield. There's a ring, 2 amethysts adorn this plain platinum ring. Doesn't have any enchantments on it, so we're just probably going to sell it later on. She has a fine ring. The archer, again, we're just going to sell that off because it has no enchantments. Crossbow, This is a spell book. You'll see a lot of these around. It's called a Book of Learning. And she says, yes, she's learned it, yay. She gets a shield and a mace. And, well, that's a very nice ring for her to have as personality +1, which, as you know, personality equals bedside manner, equals more spell points for her, which is always good at this level. She can learn Bless and First Aid. Now, as for him, he gets a dagger. Why he doesn't get a staff, I'm not quite sure. Looks like only one of them actually had a ring that actually worked for them that we won't actually sell. So, okay, everybody has their skills. That's a good thing. Alright, I'm going to pause the recording here for just a moment so I can make sure that everything's working how I need it to.